Hey everyone. Before we get down to a brand new fresh batch of true life horror stories, I just wanted to give a quick update on this channel. A few of you have touched base just to check that I'm still making content since I haven't uploaded anything in like 2 months. Sorry about that. If you've already heard this, or if you just want to get straight to the stories, the timestamps are in the description. So I'm definitely still keen to keep creating content. This channel is definitely not dead. I really enjoy doing narrations and interacting with you guys. It's such an honor to be given permission to narrate and share your personal experiences, and I really want to do you justice. Making really good videos with proper editing and effects takes a lot longer than I expected it would when I first started doing this. Also, my life is pretty hectic. I work a really demanding job with Child Protective Services. I love it, but it's really long hours and it's just really draining. I'm also engaged to someone who is massively out of my league, and I had a huge surgery in June, and I'll need more in January, which is always a lot of fun. I'm hoping to get into a position soon where I upload regularly. That's like the dream. In addition to all of the scary true life stories from Let's Not Meet that you guys have given me permission to narrate, I've also had requests come through to read people's creepypastas. I'm really excited to expand my focus to that kind of thing too. If you have a creepypasta that you'd like me to share, please do let me know. The email and everything is in the description. I'm also looking at doing some mini docos on famous serial killers. I'm from New Zealand, if you couldn't tell, and there's a lot of weird shit that goes down here. So, with all that in mind, if you haven't already, I'd recommend subscribing, so that until I get to the point where I'm uploading all the time, you don't miss it when I rise back from the dead, or maybe out of the Mausoleum. Get it? Because the channel is Mr. Yeah, okay, I'll shut up and give you what you're here for. Peace. I used to live in a townhouse, or duplex, by myself, with my dog and 2 cats near a train station. There were often commuters who parked outside my place and passed by through the day and night. Occasionally I had cigarettes or stuff stolen from my front veranda. I even had my next door neighbor's ex-boyfriend come to my door telling me he had a hitman after me and he had a gun. But none of this scared me like the night I was watched. My dog lives indoors, and I would take him out for a last wee before bed. My backyard light was broken and it was up too high to change the bulb, so I always took him out the front. That night, it was about 11 PM and I took him out the front. It was a hot summer night and I was mindlessly standing on the footpath when I saw movement across the road from me. Out of nowhere, a man had appeared and was walking diagonally across the street away from me. I thought it was odd because I hadn't seen him come from the other direction. I continued to think about it. Where he came from was outside a house that was being renovated. I knew the owners weren't living there and I thought maybe he was trying to steal stuff. So I kept looking down the road to where he had gone. He had turned the corner down the next street. I kept watching him, and then I suddenly saw his head pop around the corner to see if I was still outside. This gave me the absolute creeps, so I grabbed my dog and went inside. So, I turn off all my lights, and I go upstairs to my bedroom, which is at the front of the townhouse and faces the street. I thought I would keep watch of my neighbor's house and call the police if he came back. I peer through my blinds, which covers sliding doors coming off a small balcony. And like clockwork, I see a dark figure walk down from the corner and down my street. He's moving towards the house across the road, and then I suddenly lose sight of him. A tree in front of my townhouse obscures my view for a moment. And there he is. He's not just there, he has stopped at the top of my driveway. Standing there like fucking Jason Voorhees. I kid you not, his arms were out by his sides and legs apart in an unnatural stance. Like he was preparing for something. Like he wanted to come and kill me. My heart is racing so hard I can barely hear anything. And I'm standing there slack-jawed looking at this would-be assailant when one of my cats comes to see what's happening. My cat slides his body between the blinds and the window, further opening it, and I see this person, this man looking up towards me. I'm thinking, surely he sees me. If he does, this doesn't stop him. He starts walking down my driveway, undeterred and fixated. I lose sight of him under the balcony and awning. By this time, my eyes are watering in fear and tears are streaming down my face. I don't know what to do. I go sit on my bed. I pick up my mobile and dial my dad, who lives a suburb away, and he answers. I whisper to him what's happening, and he says he will be there as soon as he can. I lie down in my bed and lie as still as possible. Tears rolling down my cheeks. Pure fear. Not knowing what this man was doing downstairs and if he could get in. What if I hadn't locked the doors? And then it dawned on me. Why am I lying here in the dark crying? Turn a light on. So I did. What seemed like a lifetime, but was probably just a couple of minutes later, my dad arrived. He had an umbrella with him. I live in Australia, so no guns, but he could have at least brought a knife. I stayed on the phone with Dad while he searched outside for the man. The man was gone. Maybe me turning on the light scared him off. I called the police, who said I should have called sooner. Of course I should have. I don't know why I didn't. They came out with a sniffer dog and didn't find him either. I don't know what he wanted, but for a good year after that I was so scared living there. I'm still a scaredy cat, but reading others' stories makes me realize I'm not alone. We can all learn from these experiences so I, and we, know what to do if something scary happens. I was a junior in high school when this happened to me. I had my own bedroom, and during the hot, sticky summers of the California valleys, I would often leave my window a quarter of the way open. We had no central AC. I had been doing this my whole life without any issue, until this one night happened. Per my routine, I would leave the window open and blissfully fall asleep to the best of my ability at the moment. One night, around 2:30 AM, I heard whispering at my window. Initially, I thought maybe I was hallucinating since I'd never experienced anything like it before. The voice startled me as I awoke, and to my dismay, I realized that the dog was also barking at the window. This is when I realized, oh fuck, shit, this is real. It wasn't just any kind of whispering, because as I awoke from my slumber, I realized the voice at the window was calling me by my name. They kept calling me.
Jessica. 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 Jessica.
I froze in fear as I did not recognize the voice. I stood up in fear as soon as the voice started reaching its arm between my window and my blinds, and as slowly as I could, I speed walked to my father's room. As soon as I alerted my father, he woke up immediately and had also woken up my brother. They yelled down my windowsill and asked whoever or whatever to identify themselves. But to no avail, no response. They ran outside with a 4x4 wooden plank and expected to find someone. By the time they ran outside, they found someone running in our street and tried to knock him out. When they saw him, my father went for a hit on the head, but since the person rolled over on his back, my dad hit a non-lethal blow there. Fortunately for that person, my dad only hit him on the back and not on his head. The next couple of hours were a blur since we had called the LAPD. They showed up 2 hours later since the incident had occurred. They caught the individual and blamed it on me. Constantly asked me if I was sure that the perpetrator wasn't my boyfriend. The most interesting part of this whole situation that I found out was that this specific man was one of my neighborhood friend's brother. Someone I had never met, never talked to, never had a simple hello to. The police later told me that he had been sneaking into other underage girls' houses around the area and was trying to hook up with them. The next morning, my family and I expected at least an apology from the family since we had dropped the charges. However, we didn't even get an "I'm sorry." Instead, we got ghosted from those same neighbours. So, hey, creepy neighbourhood man, let's not meet again. So this only happened to me today, and it felt like something I should share here as a caution to others. I live in a small city not too far from Edmonton, and recently there has been a series of armed robberies happening in and around the area. It's made me wary about walking alone at night, so I have found myself home at night more often than usual. It's not the worst, but I dislike having this feeling of unease. But I manage and make do. So today my dad and his girlfriend were invited out to a party, meaning I had the whole house to myself. I pretty much had the whole evening planned out. Watched some episodes from my favourite soap opera, then switch it over to some classic horror films. So I said bye to them as they left, and I quickly loaded up the TV. It was not long after I had started up the horror movie that I heard a knock at the door. It wasn't a regular knocking. If my TV had been any louder, I probably wouldn't have been able to hear it. I was thinking it was nothing at first. I went over to the door without pausing the movie just to confirm. But to my surprise, there was somebody at the door. I opened the door and there stood a slim man. He looked to be in his mid-30s, and that's all I can pretty much say. I'm not the best when it comes to describing people, and I didn't really go out of my way to analyse him at that moment. I couldn't even tell you if his jacket was grey or black. The man said he represented a security company and was going around my area to offer his company's services. He asked if the owner of the house was home, to which I told him no and that he would not be home until late. He then began giving me some quick information about his company. That it was the only one that was locally funded, that it's already being used in several homes on my street, and that it's smart device friendly. He even showed me a laminated piece of paper that displayed all the different devices that could work with the security system. I told him that we weren't interested in having a security system at this time. He proceeded to ask me if my family leaves the house for long trips, which would be a great reason to get this security system. Looking back now, this was a huge red flag, but I answered honestly that the house was almost never empty and that we never really went on trips. I also added that he could speak to my dad tomorrow if he was coming back. He told me his team would be leaving to another city tomorrow, thanked me for my time, then left. I went back to my movie and pretty much forgot about the visitor. The movie finishes, and I decide to check my Facebook to glance at the buy and sells. Near the top of my feed is a shared post that caught my eye immediately. What I read next made me completely freeze up. It was from a woman who had also talked to a representative from the exact security company I had just been advertised. This guy knocked on her door softly too, which immediately caught my attention. She noted how the guy never gave his name or business card, something I didn't even realize happened for me until I thought back on it. Overall, she was very suspicious of the guy, so she asked he wait outside as she got some pen and paper to write down his phone number. When she returned, he was gone. The next door neighbour told her that they saw the man running down the road and into an alley. But the biggest fact this woman dropped? She contacted the security company. It does actually exist. They told her that they didn't send anyone out to the city to go door to door. This shared post is blowing up, and it seems that it occurred to a lot more people than just me. Some people even showed videos from their security cameras of these, quote, employees, unquote. There's definitely more than one person pretending to work for this company, one even being a woman, and a lot of strange activity being reported. One person going into the backyard without permission. Another person standing in front of the house like they're scoping it out. Knowing all of this now, it makes the entire encounter with that guy at my door terrifying. Was he scoping my house too? Would he have tried something if I didn't answer? I also wonder, was he hesitant to try anything because I didn't pause my movie? For all he knew, I could have had a friend over. Luckily, nothing serious happened for the rest of the night, but I will be extremely cautious from now on. If there's one thing I would advise, be suspicious of anyone you don't know that comes to your house. Just because someone says they work for a company doesn't make it true. You don't know who they are or what they might actually want from you.